therapy. I'm sure there was one episode we had therapy section. We talked about therapy, and also Nigerians saying, nothing they do me, I did okay. Therapy, no.
The thing with Nigeria, and it's very good that you actually pointed it out, we wait till it gets to the point of almost complete destruction before we seek that help that is needed. So we self-manage. So you have malaria, rather than going for the test, to be sure it's actually malaria, you what? Start taking medications, go to the pharmacy and prescribe for yourself. It's the same habits, same behavior that's been translated to therapy.
Somebody who is stressed as we speak now, that they don't know they are stressed. It's because it's, like you said, it's one thing for them to know, it's another thing for them not to know. So what are the symptoms that would make you know that, oh, this person, you're stressed. This is the symptoms of, what can you tell them?
Therapy is very, very important because there are so many things we do that we think is normal. There are so many things we do that we think is helpful to us, but in essence, it's actually taking us from the goals we want for ourselves. It's making us much worse. So we have defense mechanisms that are just there. We're used to, we've done for years. So we've accustomed ourselves to these things. And then therapists are the only ones that are going to be able to find, tune, and
Yes, welcome to another episode of the Revive Podcast. And you know how we do it. We bring you topics that can touch your mind. We try to engage your mind. We try to show you how you can revive your mind. If you have mental issues, if you're going through, stress, pressures, we bring in professionals who can talk about these things and teach you how you can find your way around this, mental issues, especially in the creative space. And, I remember Ambu said, they don't talk to me, can they hype myself, but I don't go fist up. My name is Olaoluwa Sami, and you can call me Babaoba. Where did I even get that name from? Like, that name sounds very awkward, but it's good. And with me today, I have the amazing...
Your forever co-host.
Uishi.
Okay.
Come on,
welcome to the show this beautiful day. My name is Oluwa from Lola Shoko. I'm your favorite girl, Umido.
Yeshe. And so today we're going to be talking about something very sensitive. So what we try to do is we went outside of the creative space to bring a professional to talk about, the mind. So this is what we're going to do. Me and Omiden, we're not going to be asking any questions because the way we do it, I go talk about the question, but today we're going to leave it to the professional in, amongst us. We have with us, you're going to introduce yourself. Okay. So afterwards, I'm going to ask you a question, but then before you answer the question, you're going to introduce yourself and then answer the question. First off, what is mental stress?
Okay. Thank you very much. My name is Judith Gbadebo, and I'm a clinical psychologist and an improvement and well-being coach. I provide well-being solutions and improvement solutions to people who want to improve the quality of their lives. So what mental stress essentially is the way we manage ourselves to the point where our thoughts, our feelings, our behavior to make them in order. Now, mental stress then is when it's in a disordered state. Okay, so a disordered state now looks like it's affecting your work, it's affecting your lifestyle, it's affecting your well-being at home. You're not able to function to the optimal level you should be functioning. So your life is, in essence, stressed out. So stress comes in overwhelm, it comes from overthinking, excessive rumination. There are different ways stress can show up. Depressive episodes could also be a factor of stress as well. So there's so many things that play in the role of what mental stress essentially is.
So, that means that in a country like Nigeria, you're going to be stressed.
Of course. Of course.
Now, I didn't say that to spike anybody, but the way you said it, the thoughts, the feelings when they are not in order, which means sometimes you could be thinking about something and then you're feeling awkward, but you can't put a word to it. And then all of this is just messed up. Now, in that situation where, for instance, a creative person who you need the mind to be creative, you need to be in a certain way, you need to feel good, you need to know you need to be in a good state to be able to create things. And now you're experiencing this sort of stress that is created by the environment. How do you advise the person to, to improve their life or to better, improve themselves to be able to get the best out of their work?
Okay, so I'm going to advise them essentially is have a state of calm internally, because you can't bring to the world what you do not have, right? So create peace for yourself first. Understand what exactly is causing me this stress. So stress comes from different things. You must know what stress is for you, essentially.
Okay.
So if you're someone who finds yourself that you have a project coming on, it's probably 3 months ahead. You've prepared yourself, but somehow you find yourself still jittery ahead of time, right? You're worried, you're anxious. You can't find that peace. You can't find that state of rest, right? What then do you find that could help you? Maybe your competence is not the best yet. You're not as prepared as you think
As
you are.
you want to, yeah.
Yes, you're not ready to present yourself in the state you currently are. Then improve yourself, right? Find someone who has probably done that thing previously and then communicate with them. Oh, how did you manage this? This would even give you a way to familiarize yourself with that environment.
Yeah.
That would make it even more calming. And then for someone else who maybe the environment is stressful, because everyone has different environments, right? So for example, since we're talking about creatives, so someone who works in the movie industry, for example, so you're on set, it's chaotic, you can't rest, you can't have a proper sleep schedule, right? You wake up, you sleep for 4 hours, right? The next night you slept for 3 hours. Of course, you're not going to function at your optimal state, right? So what that means is, can you take a break? Can you provide yourself with time where you are going to be able to have that space to rest? Come back to that calm. Process what exactly is going on in your own mind, but create that state of calmness. If it's racing thoughts you're experiencing, so your own stress is from racing thoughts, ruminating, excessive rumination, journaling. Write exactly what you're thinking about. Sometimes I have a million things coming at me at once. I have so many things I'm thinking about. Sit down, state everything. Prioritize them, because once you can prioritize them, then okay, this one can even stay 2 months before I even touch it.
Yeah.
So let's not even stress myself over this right now and focus on what's the most important, what's going to actually move the needle forward, and then channel my energy there.
See what we're talking about. There's no need, maybe we go allow the version and make it break and down. And the way you're breaking it down, I like it. Now, one thing I'm going to ask before I allow Omidom talk, maybe she wants to ask questions and all that, is, so, which means there's no way you can talk about this internal calmness without self-awareness?
No, there's definitely no way. You must have self-awareness first. It's actually the first step. So you need to know what you are susceptible to. So what triggers you? Right? So in a state where you come to a place, right, and you would get angry, someone else might not get angry there, right? You know that I'm someone who has that short temper. The person might say certain words and I'll be triggered. Why am I triggered in this? I need to understand how to regulate my emotions then. Okay, so it's the way you're now processing that. So self-awareness is very, very important, right? It's the first step to even having a better mental state. It's the first step to having that optimal well-being. So mental health is obviously in a spectrum. So there's mental ill health, and mental well-being. So you want to be in the state of well-being, of course. And then for you to be in the state of well-being, you need to know what aspect in my life right now is not making me get there. Why am I not there yet? Why am I not having the exercise routine I expect for myself? Why is my physical health not at the state it should be? Why am I thinking negative thoughts constantly? Why am I not able to keep that in check? Why is it that when someone says the wrong things to me, I'm ready to flip at them? Why is it that I cannot communicate assertively, I communicate aggressively, or I just be passive about it and be quiet and have people stand over me, right? What aspect in my life am I not standing up for myself? So awareness first, understanding, okay, this is the pattern it has always been over time. So maybe in your childhood, you've been that people pleaser. And then in your friend groups, you've been the people pleaser. At work, you've been the people pleaser. Clearly, that's something that you are very susceptible to. So someone could ask you something that naturally you would not even take. Naturally, it would not even be helpful to you in the long run. But you just take it because, let's just please them. Let's just make peace. But making peace is actually disrespecting yourself. And you're teaching other people then to disrespect you along the way. So that's how self-awareness essentially comes into play. So self-awareness obviously is the first step
Before you even talk
before you
about...
have mental health, yeah.
I mean, that means that we should first off preach self-awareness before we talk about mental well-being. We should preach self-awareness before we talk about peace of mind, right? We should preach self-awareness before we talk about like the state of calm that you spoke about, which means at the point when maybe an artist is addicted or losing their creative prowess, the first thing we need to do is, because just like what you said, you need to get to that point where you know exactly why this is happening, what is happening, why this very thing is happening. If you know the why, then you know how to retrace your step back. So that means when you find somebody who's addicted, the first question we need to ask is, do you exactly know who you really are? Do you know exactly, I mean, it's self-awareness, right?
So to clarify that, right, self-awareness is the bedrock. It is the bedrock. And the reason I'm still stating that essentially is you must know yourself first to make yourself better. So if an artist is saying, oh, I'm feeling this way, he knows how he was when he was better.
Exactly. That's why you know you
Yes.
don't. Yeah.
So you now know that, okay, I'm not performing the best now. I can now seek help. I should now seek help. Okay, but you at least know your pattern, you know how you behave in the best state. And obviously you might not even have been in the best state. You know you can still be better. But the best you've known of yourself. Yes.
You see, every time when you don't catch Baba, they do, the word they touch deep, like it hits me left, right, and center. Omidon, I know you've been very quiet. So you want to say something?
You know, one thing that I like, and she's been saying a lot of things, and trust me, I've been learning a whole lot from everything she's been saying. Like I always tell people, you need to just know who you are first. When things are not going the right way for you, you need to understand what's going on. Now that's you going back to the drawing board, understanding what worked for you at some point in your life when you had peace of mind.
Yeah.
Peace of mind is something that helps a lot. But for me, in Nigeria here, at the Nigerian economy, I want to achieve, I want to set goals for myself are the reasons why a lot of Nigerians are having problems with their mental health. Like she said, write out the plans, strike out the ones that will work for you, take it one step at a time. But Nigerians just want to be everything at the same time.
Yeah,
And for me, I feel it's something that would affect you on the long run.
Just like what you said, I mean, we were talking before the session started. It was all about the environment. There's a way that they call it environmental programming. There's a way that the environment has programmed you to function. I mean, we're talking to Jide Pans sometimes before, and, you know, by the time he was talking about his story, he talked about how everybody has looked down, and everybody looked down on it. Like, they literally thought it wasn't going to amount to anything. And then one day they gave me a role in school, and the way he performed the role, he made everybody share so much that, you know, he became a celebrity, such that the very day they were going to do that very drama, they gave him a special seat. Now, this was a young boy in primary 5 who was already aware of how the people were treating him. All of this, when you comb all of these things together, there's no way that it would not affect the mental state, which he was also saying that even sometimes he would do a great work, people would be commenting, but he's still doubting himself and say, should let me do this thing? And I feel like a lot of the time, the damage we do to people's mental health, just by the words we speak, they go a long way to them. Because sometimes these things are irreparable, because sometimes he would say that when he goes home and then he's out of 31 students, he's the 29th, thereabouts, that the mom will beat him. So most of the time when he gets the same result, because all of the beating has not improved him, when he gets the same result and he's going home, he's always asking that question, my own don't beat today, then go beat me again. Because now he's aware of what the parent is doing to him. Now, I'm asking myself, if you then go through all of these things only to realize that what you were taught in school, you don't even need it in your daily life. But that thing has actually shaped you in a way, left a dent that it would take a lot of therapies to get out of it. How do we prevent this sort of situations happening? Because this is a child, a 5-year-old child. He's a creative person. As a matter of fact, he's able to weigh a lot of character so much that the day I met him in person, I didn't believe he could be that simple a person. Do you get me? But he's grown in an environment that has battered him. Even he said that somebody had met him at an event and told him that you look so big on Instagram, but look at how small you are. He said after that statement, he had to go heal himself. How do we caution people? How do we create a society that, that stops people from being this inhuman to other people? And I think most of the time they do it out of ignorance, but how do we stop these things?
How we stop these things? Intentionality. We have to be very intentional with how we communicate with people, because you are a human being. You have feelings. You have thoughts. I don't know what you are going through in your life right now. I don't know what situation, if you're even at the breaking point. I don't know if you are triggered by anything I'm going to say, right? So I must be intentional with how I communicate, and you must communicate with kindness to other people. So two things: other people needs to be intentional to everyone around them, and then you as a person, you must also be able to self-manage. So you can't control what people do, right?
You can
so why we
control
say
yourself.
you can control yourself. So why we say everyone should be intentional, right? I'm going to be intentional about making sure I'm communicating with you with kindness, not being mean, not being rude, not saying things out of pocket, right? Not commenting on things that are not necessary. So I don't like someone's footwear, must I say that? Do you understand? I don't like somebody's manner of approach, so the way they speak, must I say that? Do you understand? Because at the end of the day, that person might have just improved, and that's the state they know right now. And for them, they're like, oh my God, I'm speaking much better now. Oh, I'm doing this better. And they're commenting themselves, and you just go bash the person. And then the person loses that confidence. Because the truth is, the community we have around us help us grow or mar us and bring us down.
Sure.
So it's very important that you have the right people around you saying the right things. Do you understand? So if you have, like the person you said, his family, when he brought a result and then they battered him, it's actually quite common, because you see a lot of adults now with low self-esteem. There's a reason for the low self-esteem. It's not random, actually. It's as a result of what we've heard over time as during childhood. So some people, the teacher would call them, you're a dullard. Oh, you're dumb. Oh, you're not smart. What would you ever become, right? But this person is what? Maybe not book smart. How many people are not book smart and still excel? Let's be honest. A lot. Do you understand? So because we have that skewed vision, at least the school system has that skewed vision of what success is, you then limit every other person who isn't thriving in that environment to what's stupid. And then that person now gets to, even people who were thriving, funny enough, now get to the corporate setting or wherever, and then they have imposter syndrome. Oh, do I deserve to be here? You start questioning yourself, second guessing. Am I good enough? You start being anxious. You're going to a board meeting. You can't even think straight. You're worried. What are they saying? Why are they going to ask me the wrong question? Do you understand? You feel out of place. And that's as a result of everything that's happened up to that state. Then the self-management now comes in. Okay, so when everybody is intentional, right? Or not intentional, because you still have difficult people. You still have people who could care less, right? You'd have people who, even if they know to be intentional, they might be intentional with some people, maybe they seek favor from, and then they could care less about any other person. You by yourself need to understand that self-management is very essential for you. So if you, for example, you have someone who triggers the worst in you, must you give a negative response? Must you say something that is not going to be beneficial for the person's well-being? Now, when the person responds to you, when the person says something to you, it could be a work colleague. So let's paint a clear scenario. Someone comes to you, is pushing your buttons, and you know for a fact that it could get to a point and you confront this person, and then when you confront this person, you might not trust yourself enough to have it in a civil manner. What would you do? You can find ways to communicate your needs to this person. That's assertiveness. And then also put into consideration the person's needs. Because you can't have assertiveness without having the person's need also in consideration. So you can send an email detailing everything that the issues are, right? So essentially you're protecting yourself. Because if you have someone who probably is a narcissist, who will manipulate you out of it, but at least you have the evidence, you find ways to manage yourself in that situation, to protect yourself overall. Another way you can self-manage is if you know that you are susceptible to anger. Like anger is actually something that I keep repeating because it's something that it could literally change the identity of what people think you are overnight. Like someone could think of you as a professional, very well spoken, very well taught, very well articulate, doing everything right, doing everything to the best of his ability at the end of the day. And then you get to the point where someone triggers you, you just change all of a sudden. And the people who had trust in you, who relied on the fact that you are this professional to represent yourself in the best way, can't trust you again. Then your brand, what happens?
To Will Smith. So on my way here, I was listening to, the previous podcast between Trevor and Will Smith. And Trevor was saying that I know this person. We've known this person for ages. I think what happened between him and Chris Rock was a result of something that he has bottled in for a long time. So much that he just felt, I think it's about time I need to respond, because people keep talking about me, my family, my wife. You guys don't even know exactly what we're going through. And then he snapped at him. And afterwards, it was hard for him to rebuild his image, because he was losing deals. They were canceling some of his movies that he was about to drop and all that. Just like what you're saying. People would then have a different ideology of you, and you're there asking yourself, because he said he got home and he had his, his young nephew on his lap, and they were talking, and the boy was holding the Oscar, because he won the Oscar that night, and then he was holding, the boy had the Oscar, and then the boy looked at him and said, "Uncle, why did you slap him?" Now, there's no answer you would give to that young boy that would understand what the picture in his mind was. He saw you slapped him on stage in front of a lot of people, in front of the whole world. So a lot of it, I'm just like what you're saying, sometimes if you don't manage yourself, the anger could make you regret your actions for a long time. Thank you so much. Yeah.
So my question is, you said a whole lot, and trust me, that's going to help me personally, and it's going to help a lot of people. Now, sometimes to find people that don't open up to people and tell them, okay, like in Nigeria, a lot of people don't believe in therapy. I'm sure there was one episode we had therapy section, we talked about therapy, and also Nigerians saying, nothing they do, Mijari, are they okay? Therapy, no. How do you advise people like that to come for therapy? What are the things you need to say to them? What are the measures you need to take to make sure they come for therapy? Because some people would not tell you what's going on with them, but if they see a certified therapist or a counselor that would help them, they would be able to come. What are the things you think we can tell people to make them understand that you need to take care of your mental health, you need a therapy, you need counseling?
Therapy is very, very important, actually. I believe everyone needs a therapist. Even therapists need a therapist, okay? And that's even part of your training. You tend to have supervisors who would be, checking out for you as well. It's very important. Most people, the thing with Nigeria, and it's very good that you actually pointed it out, we wait till it gets to the point of almost complete destruction before we seek that help that is needed. So we self-manage. So you have malaria, rather than going for the test, to be sure it's actually malaria, you start taking medications, go to the pharmacy and prescribe for yourself. It's the same habits, same behavior that's been translated to therapy. Therapy is very, very important because there are so many things we do that we think is normal. There are so many things we do that we think is helpful to us, but in essence, it's actually taking us from the goals we want for ourselves. It's making us much worse. So we have defense mechanisms that are just there. We're used to, we've done for years, so we've accustomed ourselves to these things. And then therapists are the only ones that are going to be able to find, tune, and bring to your awareness these things. So as much as you want to help yourself, you want to build self-awareness, when you don't have that unbiased professional voice, you won't be able to get that clarity as you should. So I would say therapy. If you still doubt it, wake up, please.
Okay, and also, in Nigeria, we have a lot of people who do different kind of things, right? We have voice coach, we have image consultants, we have... Tell me, why did you choose this profession?
Okay, so for psychology, I chose psychology because I'm a person who is very interested in personal improvement, and I've always been attracted to how to better myself. And then in essence, that trickled down to how can I better the people around me? So personal improvement is very essential. You must stay curious to be improved as a person. To live a better quality of life, you must understand your well-being, the different aspects to your well-being, and how you can improve on every facet of that. So there's the physical aspect, there's the psychological aspect of your well-being, the social aspect of your well-being, where we have your interpersonal relationships. So if you find that you tend to find yourself in same situations, maybe toxic situations, then clearly you have some issues in that social well-being aspect. Your spiritual well-being, you have your aesthetic well-being. So aesthetic well-being, a lot of people, I think, they have this, but may not even know they have aesthetic well-being. So that's attraction to beauty, right? You enjoy art, you enjoy music. So aesthetics, beauty in different regards. You're able to express yourself through that or absorb someone else's expression of creativity. So there are different ways you can put yourself in well-being states, right? Understand that your personal care is your responsibility first, and that's what attracted me. So after working on the certain things I know I should be working on in myself, and also still I'm working on in myself, helping people understand that there's this thing that we can do to live a better quality of life, actually be well and also improve ourselves, clearly.
Which brings me, I mean, you said it yourself that first it was more like something that you did for yourself, and then now you realize, okay, I could do this for other people. But then you said something about how it trickled down to your own social, the social benefits and all that. Do you think that in this very country, people who do what you do, and it's very sensitive. I'm saying this because I'm asking this question because even me, because of what I do, I find it hard for people to value me. So when I tell you, oh, this is what I charge, you ask yourself, well, what exactly do you really do? Do you think that you guys are appreciated enough and paid enough for what you do? Now,
especially in this part of the world.
Exactly. Now, I'm saying this because if you help people to get better, but then what you're doing that is consuming your time, your energy, you're putting your all, is also the reason why you're asking yourself, am I actually in the right place? I think a lot of the time, it does more to your mental health. Do you get me? I mean, I like the way you guys do it, where you have somebody who's checking in for you, always somebody you report, somebody that check in for you to, know you're also fine. But I'm talking about the normal thing, the things that we call normal, where somebody had to struggle to make a living. Do you think, because if we don't talk about these things also, it's more like you're coming here to talk about others. If we don't talk about these things, maybe somebody's listening now, and the person might be, okay, for what these people are doing, do you think you're paid enough to do this, or you're appreciated enough, because it's in the value. Do you think you're valued enough? And if not, what do you think the system can do to better how this? Because if the system puts you guys forward as people they value, the citizens will naturally, it's a system, the citizens will follow suit. Do you get me? There was a time that all our parents want you to become doctors, lawyers, because then the society was celebrating these very people. Now I believe the society is celebrating people like artists, musicians, and the likes of them, which is why a lot of people are trying to beat those people now. Do you think you're valued enough? And if not, how do you think the system can better value what you guys do?
Okay, so that question is a very valid and very important question. And the reason why it is because there's the aspect where, because you work in healthcare, right, it should be a moral job. But then at the end of the day, it's a business.
Yeah.
And if a business is not sustainable, it would not last. So it's that dissonance, essentially. So there's that question, and it's very good how you said, what can the government do? What can people actually do? First things first, the government can implement mental health usage in different stages, okay, of the individual's growth. So you have the nursery stage, you have counselors. So rather than only talking to your teachers who are not particularly trained, so a child who is crying, comes to school, maybe cries from morning till night, definitely needs attention, emotionally, right? So having them equipped in different schools is definitely one way. Primary school, secondary school at different levels. Then universities. It's very sad to see how in universities, counseling units are, students rarely go there because they can't even be sure of how confidential it's going to be, how ethical it's going to be. What do I divulge to these people? Will I not be judged? All of these things. Because you might not be having the actual people that understand the basis or even understand the students themselves. Because it's one thing to have someone who is 60-year-old talking to a 16-year-old. There's a limit to what they will understand. Okay, so we have psychologists of different ages. Then let those different ages manage people along their age range, because the relatability will obviously be there and be much better. Yes, that's one. And then another thing again is people coming to the appreciation, because you say, are you paid enough? And that's very, very valid, because there are people who reach out for therapy, one, cannot afford at all, right? And you provide the session pro bono. Right. There are times where I have, like I discussed with you even before we started, there's a foundation that provides free counseling with actual clinical psychologists licensed, right? People call into the toll-free number and have therapy. They can even go into the office for therapy. Then there's also the ones who work privately. Now, privately, it's a business, because you have your family members, you have things you manage. So imagine someone who has a wife, you're a therapist, and you're like, oh no, I only had 3 clients this month. How realistic would that be? No, because that's the same thing that's causing the doctor's brain drain. A lot of people don't want to pay doctors what they are worth, knowing fully well they are a very fundamental aspect of the society. Now, if they leave the country and you have hospitals that are not manned and equipped, and you have mortalities, you have issues, then what then? Like, who's to blame? So we must first understand that when someone tells you, this is my price, right? If you feel like it's pricey, it's hard for you, communicate that. Let them know, I'm sorry, this is what I can do right now. Please, would you be willing to? Then let's come to a concession, right? Or they can even refer you. Federal psychiatric hospitals also provide therapy for a reduced rate. But then for office space, all these needs that come with having a private practice, when they charge you, please, don't ask them any questions. just
don't ask them to shalaye.
Yes, because they are really going to help your life. And if you believe it, commit to the process. Because your therapist is one end of it. You are also the other end. Whatever the process entails and requires you to do, be doing it. Be involved in it, right? Execute those things. Because if you don't execute it, then there are no results. And when there are no results, then you feel like, oh, did it not work for me? Was it not useful? Was it not valuable in the end? But it is valuable.
Waste my money.
Yes. So
Wow. I think you should be a teacher.
I mean, that's what they do. I mean, over time when you get to counsel people, there's a way that you're very articulate, and then you, just like what you said.
Because you need them, I think you need them to have confidence in you. First off.
Yeah.
Is that one of the techniques for counseling?
Yeah, I mean, you need to give the person you're talking to some level of assurance. To be able to. And that was what she was saying. She said at first she was always overwhelmed, and then she'd be crying with, I mean, I'm sorry for spilling some of the facts you told me behind the scene. So the thing is this. I feel like, which was what I said, at first, you're not that professional, you're not professional enough. So you get drawn into every emotions and all that. And then you're not even articulate enough. But then over time, you get used to, just like what she's saying, he's telling you to probably go teach, because now she sees how very articulate, and, you don't have to look for, check these things out. You just, it's because of the experience. And I'm going to ask this question. I have this friend who, he was signed to label at some point, and no, I'm not supposed to even let you know the gender. She was signed to a label at some point, and they had issues. Now, not that he wasn't good enough. Not that the person wasn't good enough. But by the time the person was trying to go all the way on his own, he was having financial issues, which was also affecting his mental health. Now, in those scenarios where now the fact that the financial issue is affecting the mental health, now was distorting how the creative process was going. If that sort of person comes to you, you're not supposed to help him look for money, but you're supposed to bring him to a state of peace, a state of calm, right? How would you go about that? Knowing fully well that the person's problem, you can't solve it. Because, I mean, a lot of the time, that's the problem with people. You say, go see a therapist. Sure, the person will give me money. Do you get me? How do you help that sort of person? What are the process that you would take to get that person to a state of calm? What do you think you can do?
Okay, so for someone like that having financial difficulties, so it means the well-being on the financial state is low. So overall well-being not good, right? So it's affecting his emotional well-being. Now, his emotional well-being being affected by this, what I can help him to do first is clarity. Because usually when you are clear on what you can do, and there's now hope, because the hopelessness is what actually is breeding the frustration. So once there's a little glimmer of hope, and we can start building on that, no matter how little. So what can you do right now with what you currently have, right? Then we start building on that. That start giving the person, oh, okay, I can try this.
Hope, yeah.
Yes, because hope is what brings that light
That
back.
sense of,
Yes, that life into the person back. The creativity, okay, you start problem solving. Oh yeah, if I don't have this, then I can at least try this. You know, I can at least try that. And then when you put that into play, oh, and it works out, okay, feedback. Do you understand? And then you continue, you try more, you do more.
So it's a journey.
It's a journey. So essentially, come with clarity and then ignite hope to some extent in the person.
All right, so in this, our society, right? Our society.
Sorry, I want you to do this thing. Gang, like, I'm so impressed with what you said now. I mean, it's not easy, but then it's very easy. Shout out to you.
Thank
you. Sorry to cut in.
All right, so this generation that we have right now, a lot of them are so keen on just taking just one step to make it in life. That way they stress themselves at a very young age. Now, I read something from a therapist, a counselor too, and I think he has got friends that are doctors. So they told him that recently in the hospital, young people get to have blood pressure.
High blood pressure.
They say because they just want to take a step and hit it once.
Yeah.
What's your advice to people like that?
It's very common now. And essentially, the society we have is also a factor, a huge factor in it, right? So you go online and you see someone your age range and the person is doing
Driving
things
a
you
range.
dream of, doing things you hope for, right? Most of these things, it might not be easy for the person, but first contentment, right? Because you need to understand, where am I right now? Your journey is personal. Your journey is nobody's journey, it's your own journey. And for you to identify where you are right now, and the realistic length is going to take you to where you want to be. Because that thing of where you want to be, and then the anxiety comes with, how fast can I get there? Because how fast can you get there is how fast you can show it. That's essentially what it is. So how fast can I get D-bent? How fast can I go to Dubai and have my, Dubai backdrop? Whatsoever.
Habibi.
Come to Dubai, just all of these things. And then you are now like in this rush. But the truth is, no good thing actually comes that swiftly. Because there are stages to it. There are so many things in your mind you think would flow so smoothly. But ask business owners, they'll actually tell you how many times they fell, how many times they failed. And so many things you even had so much confidence in, projects you had so much confidence in, will actually fall flat. But the truth is, understanding that, is this the long-term journey? So give yourself, in 3 years, 5 years, what's the spectrum? What's the goal I'm actually looking forward to? Rather than, in 6 months, please, what can we get out of these things? Because when you now have a longer timeline, you can start building things. So if you're going to be building a brand over that time, you know the steps you're going to be taking. If it's whatsoever it is, so like art, if you know skills you need to learn, you start learning those skills and executing on those things. Then you start getting feedback from the market. Do they even like what you're bringing to the table? Because you may think you have the best thing since sliced bread, but really, nobody wants it.
True.
And then if the market is not buying it, then you can't.
I mean, trade is a circle of buying and selling. So
Yeah.
if you have something to sell and nobody's buying, you haven't completed the circle.
Exactly. So that's essentially your feedback, when people actually want what you're bringing to the table. Because when they now tend to feel frustrated, the anxiety that comes in. The anxiety comes in so many ways, right? There's also the pressure of adulthood, the young adulthood. It's real. A lot of people complain about it. It's real. It comes with isolation. You don't have the friends you used to have. A lot of people have left the country. Some of them that have never left the country, you barely see them. Like, I was talking to a friend of mine, it was her birthday last week. We didn't see throughout last year, and we were both in Lagos. Like, that's how funny it
The
is.
hustle and bustle, it's real.
Yes. So a lot of people now they are more isolated. And if you're not able to now understand that this is changed from when I was in the hostel where everyone was with me, you know, we just saw each other so easily. Now building a way to still have that social well-being, right? Have all these aspects of your well-being in check, understanding that it's changed. The new system, so my finances has to be in check. Previously, I was relying on parents, you know, whoever I was relying on. And then now, I have to be in charge,
Of your
right?
life.
Do you understand? I have to be in charge of my rent. Whatsoever it is, I'm going to do it. If I want to go for schooling, right, further my education, am I funding it myself? Am I getting a scholarship? All these things now bring even more pressure.
Right.
So essentially, the high blood pressure is not strange. Anxiety is not strange. Anxiety is actually to the roofs now. Most clients I get recently are either anxiety or self-esteem issues.
Wow.
Majorly. So it's not strange at all.
Shout out to you. And
Thank you.
it was nice having Miss
you.
Judith on this very space. Yeah, we're rounding up now, but to just give you, I mean, we've asked, you know, a couple of questions and then we've asked you to talk to people and then, but what would be your final, like, not your like final word, but what would you say to somebody who is presently experiencing stress? Now, you know, we talked about financial pressures and all that, but somebody who is stressed as we speak now, that they don't know they are stressed. So, because it's, like you said, it's one thing for them to know, it's another thing for them not to know. So what are the symptoms that would make you know that, oh, this person, you're stressed. This is the symptoms of, what can you tell them?
Okay, so there are different symptoms. There are different things, signs you can look out for. If you're currently stressed, you might be restless. You might be easily irritable. So short-tempered is actually always a huge sign. When someone says something, you are triggered very easily, right? These are ways to show that you are actually stressed currently.
Okay.
And also ways to manage then stress is, first thing, you know, I said initially, your peace, creating your peace. But your peace comes from your stillness and listening to your inner voice. What exactly what's the world saying, and what am I even saying to myself? Because you might be saying something negative, you might just be absorbing and keep flowing like that, right? Provide time for stillness. So stillness can be in journaling. Just sit down and be still. Just write what's in your head and see the flow of your thoughts. Is the flow of my thought these days, is it negative? Is it positive? If it's negative, try to add gratitude. But when you find little things to be grateful for, that's a way to at least start fine-tuning it, right? And then in the course of journaling, you are becoming more aware of the way things are going in your life. Okay, so this person spoke to me in this way. I did not stand up for myself. Then I bottled it up. Then in the afternoon, I yelled at somebody else. Okay, so you can see the pattern now. You're able to know, okay, these are things I can now change. Rather than bottling it up, find ways to be assertive in your communication. So the person said something you're not very pleased with. Oh, excuse me, you said this. I'm not particularly pleased with it.
Absolutely.
Yes. So can you please respect me? I always approach my relationships with respect, and I expect respect in response as well. So please don't communicate me with this tone of voice. Don't communicate with me with this kind of language, you know, certain things. And then you've stood up for yourself. And the thing is, you'll be proud of yourself internally. Because you've stood up for yourself, you know you can stand up for yourself again next time. So once you've done an action to make yourself better, it's easier to do it even the next time, rather than not even trying. The first time you do it will be daunting, but then over time you get better.
You get the confidence.
Yeah.
Shout out to you. Thank you so much.
Let's just call her therapist.
So, we're going to go to the games. Left to me, because this is like the space where I always want to talk about these things that people don't talk about together. It was why, you know, we don't want to talk too much. Just want to everything to you. And you did so well.
Thank you.
So there's this thing we do. It's a game that we play to just run the whole.
But we have a game here.
So I'm going to pick. She's going to read, and then you're going to answer.
Okay.
You're good.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's try.
No cheating. No cheating.
Let's see the magic. Now that our producer writes the words with red,
Anyone we don't read that danger.
then the answer with green, and the paper is white. So the question is: a doctor and a bus driver are both in love with the same woman.
Okay.
An attractive girl named Sarah the bus driver had to go on a long bus trip that would last a week. Before he left, he gave Sarah 7 apples.
7?
Apples.
Okay.
Why?
Wait, hold on, Chef. I don't know this to this. You know, go kill us. Can you please read again?
All right, so a doctor and a bus driver are both in love with the same woman, an attractive girl named Sarah.
Okay.
The bus driver had to go on a long bus trip that would last for a week. Before the bus driver left, he gave Sarah 7 apples. Why?
An apple a day keeps the doctor away. So it's up for 7 days.
You see the person will come.
Is it correct?
So on those 7 days, eat one apple every day, and then he keeps the doctor away. It's good. Please, you need high five on this one. It's good. See, producer.
See.
Yeah.
See.
Yeah.
Your time will come. Don't worry.
Shout out to everybody who's joined us on this every episode.
We want to say thank you so much for coming here.
Thank you.
And we're looking forward to see you again.
Thank you very much.
All right.
And please, just so you can connect with Ms. Judith, please, she'll tell you our social media and how to connect with her.
Okay, my name is Judith Badivo on Instagram and on LinkedIn. That's basically how you find me, Judith Badivo. Yes.
Very simple person.
Yes.
On Instagram and on LinkedIn.
My name is still Laoluwas from me, quote and unquote, Baba. And thank you so much for joining in this week. Please keep it a date with us. Don't go anywhere. Invite friends when you're coming to watch the next episode. Send this link to somebody who needs a mental awareness, some level of mental awareness.
And also people that you know that in recent times or some time ago, they told you that therapist, ma worry, mama okay. Tell them to watch this. Share with them via all your social media platforms. And also, if you're looking for a way to send someone the video on Instagram, I'd advise you just click on the link on the YouTube page and share with the person.
Yeah.
So you get every piece of it. Thank you so much. Oluwafemi Lashoko is my name. That's how we wrap today's episode. Bye.